Hi guys, welcome to Chakra Sessions. I'm your host, Polly Jo Labbe, here at Trinity Mystical Energy, coming to you live through Be Live TV and on YouTube. So welcome. I am so excited to be here. Today we are talking about how our aura impacts our immune system. And it might sound like that's two different things, but believe it or not, it really is connected. And the more you understand about it, the more you can do to help improve your own immune system, your own immune response, and even how to get a little bit faster response when you encounter some illness. So welcome. So I see Julie Julie Shumway is in the house. Hi. And Bree, welcome. Glad to have you guys here. Oh, I love your sweet doggy. I love that picture of your doggy. So yeah, it's interesting. Today my husband got his last COVID vaccine. Hi Rob, what'd you know? Polly Joe. That's my favorite. And for us to be able to go visit our kids long distance, eventually when we get on an airplane, it's going to be a little easier if we have the vaccine. And I was a little nervous about doing it myself because I have so many intense allergies. And so some of the initial stuff around the shots was showing some anaphylaxis, which I'm prone to. But my spiritual team finally weighed in and went, okay, go today. So I got my first shot today. So part of tonight's healing will help me realign and reboost my immunity because of having that, because we actually need that boost after we've had a vaccination of any kind. And also we need those boosts after we've had certain screenings, like if you've had an X-ray or an MRI or a CAT scan, or even if you've been at the airport and gone through one of those security things that, checks you out. All of those things can do a little damage to your aura if you're not careful. So that's what we're looking at today. So hi, Sylvia. Nice to have you. Woohoo! Sylvia's in the house. My buddy. And Rachel. Hi, Rachel. Nice to have you. So our immune system has been really on tap in this past year because we've realized how crucial it is that the stronger that buddy is, the more we're able to be resilient about the things that might be floating around in our environment. And many of us already understand that if we are more stressed, more run down, if we're not eating properly, if we're not sleeping properly, that our immune system can get a little bit of compromised. But part of that has to do with our chakra systems, which of course is why we're here, because that's my thing, right? So I like to think of our aura as our ozone layer, like that, because most of us have heard about the ozone layer for the Earth. And really, for Grandmother Earth, her ozone is her aura. And you've seen what we've done to her aura by messing around with things that maybe were not the most healthy for her. Yeah, Bree, I am actually feeling good. I didn't even feel it, which I felt it energetically. I felt the vaccine as it was coming in. I was guiding it to where it would work best, helping my body. And yeah, so far so good. And I've worked with a lot of people who've had the vaccine. So in terms of the energetics, I understand where it's going to go and how it's going to go. And really, most people who have symptoms, it's because it gets congested in one area. The substance that's put in gets congested in one area. And so then we have some physical symptoms. And so as long as you keep it kind of spread out and moving around, you seem to manage it a little bit easier. So we'll keep our fingers crossed and see how that goes. And it's always different doing healing on yourself than doing it for other people. So we'll see. But I thought it was interesting that they were correlating today, that everything fell in place for that to happen today, because it's really one and the same. Hi, Ellen. Nice to have you. So if we think of our aura as like an ozone layer, and the ozone was meant to protect the whole Earth from outside interference, from too much sun getting, too much sunlight getting through. It was meant to protect and create a barrier so that like debris would break apart before it actually got into the surface. That's the same thing as our aura. And with our aura, most often we're able to experience, most people think of it as one layer, like it's one little circle around us. And it's actually layers of protection. And for our purposes, we're going to talk about the 7 layers and how they correspond to our chakras, because believe it or not, our chakras are also the engines that fuel that aura. So the first chakra, for instance, that is the engine that helps secure and hold the auric layer that's closest to our physical body, the one that protects us on the physical level from actually feeling things happening to us. So we don't sense when we've come in contact with, say, a flu or a cold virus. We don't necessarily feel it come in and get absorbed, right? Because that aura shields us from that experience. But that is held in strength by how strong our first chakra is. And our first chakra is very much about safety and security, and about how grounded we are in our family and how comfortable we are in our home, in our job, with our finances. Do we have food and water and shelter? All the basic things that give us a grounded sense of like, okay, I'm okay because I have these things. But the thing that creeps in and starts to mess with that root chakra and then mess with that first layer of our aura is fear. And fear's been a big thing, especially over this past year, and really longer than that. But we can all really think about how this past year there have been so many times where fear as a collective has gotten really amped up, and we're in a new amp up because, people are freaking out about whether they're going to have gas for their car. And so we've moved from toilet paper to gas. But that's okay. It just shows that perspective of feeling safe and feeling secure. So a lot of people you can see that their first chakra is just a little wobbly, which lets me know from the conversation we're having right now that the first layer of their aura might be a little bit weaker. It might be allowing too much energy to get through. They might be experiencing more, and so their fear is getting activated faster. Those of us who, might have a healthier, fuller first layer of the aura, we may not be concerned about it because it's not impacting us and getting into some of our old fears about being safe and having what we need. And that just shows where that immunity may be weaker. And when that happens, those people are more likely to have physical reactions to things that are coming at them from their environment, whether it's a virus or whether it's somebody else's emotions or whether it's how somebody talks to them. It could be how they feel in their environment. All of those things kind of seep right through. And so it penetrates into the person's experience and it amps up their reality. It amps up all of it's like you go a little bit into overload and overwhelm. And so that first layer of that aura might be really spongy. And our aura, when we have experienced trauma or we have had a lot of stress, then our aura has it pulls apart a little bit. So instead of looking like a nice circle, a nice solid my team and I are having a little trouble with terminology in this dimension. Sorry. So that shield going around isn't solid. It might look more like a sponge. It might look more like Swiss cheese. And if somebody has had a lot of trauma and hasn't had the ability to work on it or heal it, then it may be completely shredded. And you know that is true for someone when they often will talk about things like they experience like a verbal conversation as an attack and they feel that people are out to get them. And it's they have often a very us versus them mentality because they're so amped up in their own sense of survival. And so that is where that first layer comes in. And for those of you who are empaths out there, and I'm sure the room is full of them, you know, we have that ability to read the energy. So we have often a spongy aura because we're meant to take it in and understand and navigate, okay, this is what's going on with the collective energy and how do I serve in this way. And so we may have a spongier one to begin with. And we may be unaware that we're just like soaking it in. But remember, you know, even when we're out in the sunlight, we know now, right, that we need to put on sunscreen to protect us because if we're out there too long, too much is not a good thing. And that's the same thing with our aura. There's times where we need to lather up and build it up and protect it so that we can really maneuver our energy and what we're doing by wow. By really establishing a stronger force field. Sorry, guys. I'm having like a hiccup in my channel, but that's okay. So in the 7 layers of the aura, they correspond in a certain degree with our chakras. So the first layer of the aura is the physical. It protects the physical body. Think of it as another layer of skin. So it's like it gives us just like a thicker layer of skin to make sure we don't absorb as much as we do, which is great. It helps to a degree, but when we only have that layer, it's a little tough. The second layer of our aura, which gets all its fuel from the second chakra, is all about our emotions. It's where we hold our emotions outside of our being. So if we've experienced anger, sadness, or frustration recently, we might hold it out in our aura and give ourselves a moment to actually express it from our physical body. But when we hold on to it too long, it weighs down on that physical aura, that layer that's inside, and it gets absorbed into there, and we end up holding on to it in our physical body. So we start to hold grief in our heart, or we hold anger in our belly, or we hold unexpressed creativity in our lower back, for instance. So all of these things, um, Rob, I just saw what Rob wrote. Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you. That is true. Rob is joking, Joanna. He is he is a big jokester around that. But that is definitely, that is kind of the rationale, right? Is that in that first chakra, there's so much fear that it's really difficult to be in that place. But when we go into the second chakra, that's where our emotions are. That's where our energy is. And those emotions are like a radar. They let us know when we feel off, when we feel off kilter, or we feel a little sad, or we feel frustrated. It lets us know that something in our environment around us is impacting us personally, and we can investigate and we can shift and change that. And so when we don't have that radar, we can be on an emotional roller coaster, and we can feel like our emotions are controlling us rather than us controlling our emotions. Or we may have gotten to the point where we've repressed so many emotions, we don't remember really how to feel them. That can be really difficult. And all of those things actually impact how your health and your strength of your aura can be. And somebody really recently asked me this cool question about, how does, for instance, how does alcoholism impact your aura? Right? Because we're trying to stop ourselves from feeling lots of times. And because we're doing that, it's going into our energy system, and it really is impacting our aura. And most people who have had difficulty with any substance, with alcohol, with gambling, with food, even with people who, exercise like crazy because they're trying to run away from themselves. All of those things are, you're not in your body in the current moment. You're trying to get away from yourselves. So if you've been trying to not be yourself or trying to get away from yourself at any point in time, you may have done a little bit of damage to the emotional layer of your aura, because you didn't necessarily want to feel the feelings you were feeling. And Ellen, we can never completely get rid of grief. It's been resurging. Of course it's resurging, sweetie. We're trying to move up into a higher vibration, a higher dimension. And so anything that's really dense and old that doesn't serve us is going to come up. And you have had quite a bit of grief in your life, and some of it was right on top of each other. So you weren't even done processing one set of grief when another one came in. And when we have, a stacking like that, we can remove one layer of the onion, and then underneath there's more raw to work through. And maybe think about not trying to get rid of it, but giving yourself moments where you can just fully live and express it, and just be in it to the best of your ability, because that's really part of the human experience. And the layer that's outside of our emotions, the third layer, that's our mental layer. That's our thoughts and our perceptions. And so if we think of emotions as being bad, that layer is going to squash your energy and push it right into the physical body, because the thought layer is outside, and it can press down. It can compress all of your emotions, which then can compress the emotions right into the physical body. And when that happens, you're judging all of the feelings you're having as good or bad, and they're not good or bad. They just are. They're just your radar. If we were sitting at a computer console and we're watching that little blip going on, we wouldn't be saying, that thing that's coming is bad. On the radar, we would just be like, oh, there's a thing coming. And yes, there are, when it's radar for, is that a good thing that's flying in or a bad thing that's flying in? It depends on who's looking at the radar. But it's like, okay, I'm going to have this emotion right now. And it takes a lot of energy to hold back emotions. And if you actually just allow yourself to feel it in the moment, it just pushes through, and it's much, much quicker. So maybe don't think about getting rid of it. Just think about how can you take the lid off your grief, and let it slowly evaporate. So let little spouts come out when they need to, and see how that goes. And I know you and I are trying to get there. So it sounds like we definitely need a meeting. And Bree, yes, it's honoring all of your emotions. Yeah, they're all valid. And when you hold them as all valid, if that's out in the mental layer, that all your emotions are valid, you're not going to compress them. You're not going to squeeze them. You're not going to make them right or wrong. You're just going to be like, oh, I'm happy now. Oh, I'm having sadness. And you'll be aware of whether you're having emotions that are just in the moment, or if you're bringing out of your physical body old ones. And that's important, because those also will impede your immune system. Because when we're holding onto repressed emotions, they're actually filling in that space that could have been filled with a barrier of light to protect your immune system. So one of the places that I see a huge amount of difficulty with people's aura is along the lymphatic system, along the spine. And a lot of that is repressed anger, and some of it's repressed grief. But when people are starting to have symptoms like fibromyalgia or Lyme disease or chronic fatigue syndrome, even lupus, those are all indicators to me that, number one, they've got a lot stuck in that lymphatic system, but also it means that their aura is compressed, and it's probably got tears in it, and it probably needs some help and repair. And those are all things that can be done. Just because we have, anything that's immune compromised, when people talk about being immune compromised, there are ways energetically to build that back up. It's all about your mental thoughts on that. If you believe you can change it and fix it, you can create that with your own energy system. You have that ability. So when we get into the third layer, which we were talking about, the mental layer, how we perceive things, do we perceive it as a threat, or do we perceive that as an experience, and with interest and with wonder? That part of our aura can allow us to see things, experience things, but not take them on, not take them personally. Yes. Joanna says, I hear you, Ellen. Lost 4 very close people through the last 3 years. Yes. And Ellen's were in the last few. 3, 4. I'm not, I can't quite remember. COVID has my numbers, my yearly numbers all messed up because we basically like had a year of limbo. So I've been noticing that I'm having trouble remembering how long ago things were. But that's okay. It's an easy fix. I can always Google it, right? So beyond that mental layer is our spiritual layer, which gets all of its energy out of our heart, which is fantastic because most of the time our heart will allow us to connect to our higher self, and our higher self can help us remember how to shield. But like Ellen is talking about having a lot of grief, if we have grief and we have shame and disappointment and we're compressed in that area of our energy system, well, that layer also will be closer to our body. So there's less of a buffer and we don't have as much. Think about it as reaction time. When our are really healthy, our aura is larger and the layers are spread farther apart. So our personal bubble is actually bigger. So we can sense things long before they get here. And when we have had very strong emotional experiences, or we have been dealing with a lot of physical things, our aura is really tight to our body and we don't have time. It gets to us so quickly that we don't have time to react, and we really don't have energy to react. But when it's way out from us, it's like we have a little bit of time to decide and we can meet it in a different way. And so knowing that that fourth layer is our spiritual layer, that layer can be fueled by and filled and cleaned and cleared by unconditional love. And when we can hold on to the fact that we are a spirit, not just this physical container that we're all used to, but that we're a spirit, then you can understand how that layer can be a really strong force field for us, even when the others are a little bit weaker. So Joanna says, just feel it and let go through your tears, and deep and slow breathing are huge hugs from close friends. Yes, those are all wonderful. And it can be. And sometimes it's not just tears. Sometimes you got to scream it out, because sometimes we're angry in our grief. It's not just sadness. And sometimes it's hard to get to the stage of grief where we're in acceptance. But again, those are all the mental thoughts that are impacting the emotional layer. And so mentally, we're judging what we're feeling or experiencing and saying it's too much, or too much is often right, often like, oh, I'm feeling too much. We don't want to feel too much. Why not? I had someone once say to me, if it starts, I'll never stop. And I'm like, okay, how do you know that? Well, because it's happened before. Okay, but right this minute, are you having that experience? No. Then it did eventually stop because you're not in it right this second. It might have gone on for what seemed to be a really long time in that moment. But okay, it's over, it's expressed. So how does that impact your aura? It actually weakens it. It makes it easier for other things to get through. And when we're in that place of judging our emotions, well, then we're going to get more and more of the same thing. We're going to have things that sadden us, or things that anger us, or things that frustrate us, because we're with the universal law of attraction. We attract what we're experiencing. We attract more of the same. So grief will attract more grief. So that's part of the reason to move it out, because joy will attract joy. And anger will attract anger, and we have all seen fear attract fear lately. So we get that. We know it in our intellect. It's just hard to convince our inner child, our inner critic, um, that it's okay for us to go through that. But all of those things make it hard for our immune system to reboot. And when it reboots, it pushes outward and it gets stronger. And your personal bubble actually becomes larger. And you end up actually presenting like a larger presence. People feel a larger presence from you because you have that those layers are away from you. Your orb of self is larger. Fuller is how my team likes to talk about it. And then just quickly, the layers that we have less control over, the fifth layer holds our karma. So there is that harmony that is always trying to come into balance right outside the spiritual level between the lessons our soul is meant to learn and how we've reacted to them and how they've come into balance, and learning both sides of each soul lesson that we are here to experience. That is all right outside the spiritual realm. And so that part can actually also impact a little bit our immune system. And beyond that is the layer of that is connected to the Christ consciousness. So that is a layer that again can boost us, can fill us, can protect us when we reconnect with how we experience the divine. That connection starts to create a stronger orb, a stronger force field around us. And it puts us in a container that has more love and more light in it than we might be aware of on the physical level. And beyond that is how we connect to the oneness with consciousness so that we are integrated back into the divine. So soul and spirit in one. Yes, because we are. It's just that we often experience the narrow inner part, the vehicle that's inside. It's like the seed that's inside the fruit. The seed thinks it's only the seed. It doesn't even realize the juicy fruit that's out there. Think of a peach, like that pit and where all the layers are the juice. So our immunity really is about how healthy is our aura. And the healthier we are at caring for our aura, the stronger our immune system will be. And when you are better at sleeping and eating right and exercising and moving, you're less susceptible to colds and flus and things like that. We know that here, but remembering it here has been the difficulty. Yes, it's very good, Joanna, to step back and breathe for a moment, because that puts us back in the present moment. And when we're in the present moment, we are more grounded in our spirit. We're more grounded in our connection, and we have time to remember. Remember that we are all those layers. We're not just what we see. And so there are things you can do to boost your aura. And one of those things is to help boost each of your chakras. So, you're cleaning up those engines, revving them up, giving yourself a good little energetic tune-up. And I think that's good to do. And when those of you who watch chakra sessions, we do it every week, live every week. And we have the recording. So all you have to do is watch. When you're feeling a little out of balance, it's like, right, if I get in there and balance my chakras and boost, that's where we're at. And sometimes we can use our allies to help us remember what our aura is supposed to feel like. So there are certain crystals that you can use to help you remember. For me personally, most of you know that I'm very connected to essential oils because the vibration of them matches our energy system so well. And when we use them, it reminds our soul, this is what we want. So for those of you who have, used any of the blends that I've downloaded, and Spirit has given to me, there are 2 that can help you with your aura and your immune system that are right online. So one is called the Auric Blend. And the Auric Blend is really about helping each of the 7 layers restore and repair themselves. So you can put it on, you can meditate with the intention of your aura expanding, filling, and repairing. And when I put it on, it's like I see where those little it's like it fills in the filaments. And just like when you go out in the sun, you don't apply um, sunscreen once and think you're good forever. Like, well, it knows I don't want to get burned by the sun. Well, no, you have to remind every day the monkey mind of our body that that's what we want to do and that's how we want to experience things. So the Auric Blend will help you fortify each of the 7 layers. The immune support one is for those who already have a compromised immune system. So it helps you to release some of the things that may be causing your immune system to be weak to begin with, so that your aura can repair itself. So it begins by helping you release the things that are blocking you from having a complete and full aura. Like if you had experienced alcoholism or something like that in your past, and it may have gotten weakened at that time, this would be a wonderful thing to help you strengthen from the inside out. And then you'll notice that as that starts to feel more secure, then the aura, it starts inside and then it starts to bloom outside. Yes, we are very gifted, as Joanne said. And then Bree said that's why breath work is so powerful. Absolutely why it's so powerful, because it brings us back to center so we can remember how to take care of ourselves. And breath is all about life force energy. Do we breathe automatically? Yes. Do we breathe correctly? Not usually. We don't usually use our breath to the fullest potential. And, the one thing that always comes to me is when we breathe in, when we inspire, that breathing in literally means to breathe in spirit, breathe in your spirit. And when we breathe in our spirit, then spirit can help us reconstruct our energy to be how it was meant to be, or really how we kind of came in to begin with. And Joanna says we can spread our seeds to help those who are suffering. Yeah, to a degree. It's interesting when you said that. I'm like, well, you don't want to give your energy away because then you'll be the one who's depleted. And I don't think that's what you meant. But it's when we share our love light with others, it reminds them to turn theirs on. And that will help reconnect them with who they are so that they can then help themselves. We help ourselves first. We put that oxygen mask on ourselves first, and then we help others and be in service to others. So then we can spread it, which is very, very true. So we're going to do a quick meditation so that we can remind our energy body what we want our immune system to be like, and how we want to support our aura in being full and complete. And then you will have this video to go back to on our YouTube channel. If you go onto Trinity Mystical Energy, and you look up aura or you look up immune, you will find this recording, because that's where it will be located. It'll be, Trinity Mystical Energy on YouTube is going to become your library for self-care. That's the whole point of chakra sessions. It's giving you the knowledge and then the healing tool of the meditation to take care of yourselves, like Joanna said, so that you can really share your fullness with others. And I know a lot of people who say, hey, I had trouble with that, and there was this great YouTube on it. So here, watch that, and you can share it with others that way. So let's start with our meditation. That's great conversation. Thanks, guys. So take a nice deep breath. And we're going to invite in the divine energy to surround and protect us in a bubble of infinite love and infinite light, reminding us how to create sacred space for ourselves and for others as we enter this healing connection. We set the intention that the healing work, the teachings, the meditations are for the good of all and harm to none, including ourselves. We welcome in our spiritual teams to guide and assist us in our personal journey. And we're going to begin by asking our heart to fully ground our energy into the earth plane and the present moment, helping our lower chakras to feel connected and supported, grounded within our body, within the earth plane, in each and every dimension that we have access and connection to. As we connect deeply within the heartbeat of the divine feminine and grandmother earth, and then asking our heart to also connect us more fully with the divine, opening our throat and our third eye and our crown, allowing that cord of connection through our higher self and our oversoul to connect back to where our soul was first perceived, where it burst into creation. Grounded in the energy as above, so below. You're now gently going to our first chakra, asking it to be filled and balanced. Feeling it expanding to its fullest potential. And then asking it to restore and repair our aura, in the physical realm, in front of us, behind us, on either side, above and below. Restoring any places where there might be tears, where there might be holes where a lot of feelings or thoughts have seeped in. And moving up to our second chakra, filling that to its fullest potential. Feeling the creative life force energy as it flows to and through you in that space. Creating space for our emotions to come into balance. And moving out and allowing that chakra to help us restore and repair the second layer of our aura. You might even sense the golden yellow color. Might even be a little bit orange as it fully surrounds us, inviting it to be just a few inches away from our physical body so we can have a little more space to experience our emotions without judgment, without physical pain. And then bringing our attention back to our third chakra, welcoming the energy to come into balance in its highest potential. Melting away any negativity, criticism, anxiety, worry, self-doubt that we've been carrying. And allowing some of the fear to dissipate. No longer necessary in this exact moment. And allowing that third chakra to help us to connect to the third layer, the mental layer of our aura. You may sense that almost as the green of the heart. It's like a yellow and green combination. And asking that to push out just slightly, a few more inches, to expand our personal bubble, to give our thoughts room to process before connecting to emotions attached to them. And again, making sure that we're repairing in each direction, including behind our shoulders and our head, beneath our feet. And then connecting to our heart, inviting it to fill to its fullest potential, welcoming in the high heart as well to balance it, gently allowing any grief or disappointment, shame that we may be carrying, letting it dissolve gently, melt away from our energy body. Asking our heart to restore and repair and cleanse the spiritual layer of our aura, each and every direction, and inviting it to gently push a little farther out, a few inches, so we have a little more space once again to be able to listen to our spirit before we listen to our mental chatter. Giving room for the intuition to be heard first. Yeah. Reminding of us our true essence and our true being. And moving up to the throat, the authenticity of our truth, our self-expression in each and every direction, dimension, and lifetime that our soul has experienced. Opening up, restoring and repairing the layer with our karma, inviting it to come into balance, into harmony. Yeah. And inviting our third eye, our sixth and our seventh sense from our higher self to help us bring that chakra into balance so that we may restore and repair our connection to our divinity, to the layer of the Buddha heart and Christ consciousness, and so much more. Restoring and repairing our connection and our pathways to that energy, to that vibration of ourselves. And asking our crown to remind us how to connect with the seventh layer of our aura, releasing all of the doubt and the worry, all of our disconnect from who we truly are, filling in each and every direction and dimension. And now just taking a moment to recognize the difference between your energy now and when you began. Feeling how much sturdier and supported you are. Feeling your immune system And now taking a moment of gratitude for the remembrance of who you are and how your energy is and can be. And take a deep breath and blow out. And with each breath, become more aware of your physical body in this physical realm in spirit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm still clearing for everyone. Anything that was kind of getting in our way. And just slowly come back. You might want to rub your hands together, rub your feet on the floor, stretch, yawn, whatever will help you realign. And so that's an exercise that you can use to boost your energy, boost your immune system, boost your reconnection whenever you need it. And as I said before, the essential oils, the vibration of the oils for the auric blend and the immune support, both of those can help you do that as well. And those are available on my website, trinitymysticalenergy.com. That's where my healing boutique is located, and all the information on what I teach and how I teach, all about our energy system and the evolution we're going through, because we are going through an evolution. And so things like energy medicine and self-care need to evolve as well to support us in who we are and remembering how to be who we are. So with that, you guys, please like and share this broadcast. I know it's a little different coming from YouTube, but if you could share the link onto Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, wherever you might be, then you can help us heal the healers who are out there so that they can reconnect with their spirit. And we know that it's a global crisis that we repair and restore our immune system, because it's very important. Thank you, Rob, for putting up my website in case you guys forgot, and it's in the comments if you need to click on it. But with that, I will see you guys next week. I look forward to it, and be well. And thank you for helping me with my personal mission, which is to help heal the healers, because we need everybody out there, everybody on the ground, right? All right, guys, love you and have a great rest of your week. Mwah. See you next time. Yay.
Made it.
Woo-hoo. Hold on.
There were a few minor story flaws, but all in all, a good $5 worth for me and my whole family. So,
I just want to, I'll take care of that more after. I was referring a client to somebody, and because that person is like in a group setting, the email went to just sort of like the person who's in charge of the website, so they were like, did you feel like you were, and he was like, what do I do with this? What do I do with this? I'm just trying to get to this woman, and I'm like, just tell them that Polly Joe referred you to this person and that you want to get a hold of them. Like, that's all. It's like, sweetie.
no entiendo.
It's not that difficult. So I'll message both the practitioner I referred him to and the person in charge of the website and say, guys, I'm trying to get my client to this person.